I want to preface this video by saying that I am currently up in Pensacola. They do talk a lot in this meeting about Pensacola, and I am up here donating time. I came from Missouri, and I'm just doing all I can to try and help the people up here in this poor community and the poor terrible things they've had to witness. It's so heartbreaking. Today at 1 o'clock, I reached out to my community back home and asked for fuel, because that's something that's talked about in this meeting. We are needing fuel desperately, and there's no one up here. There's nobody. It's just us volunteers, and the fire department and the fire chief has helped this volunteer community thrive. And if it had not been for that, I'm afraid to think of what these people would have up here right now, because there isn't nothing but volunteers. And I'm not trying to single anyone out or try and make anyone look bad. I am simply stating the facts of what's going on. It's such an immense tragedy and profound disaster that every resource and everything is going towards trying to help the most people possible. And in this situation, it's just the cities. I mean, that's just how it works. The bigger the city, the more people there, the more they're going to try and push to get that done, which means that the small, tiny little itty-bitty little towns like Pensacola, up where I'm at, that Google says has 535 people, and they're just last on the list, and that's the way it is. And there's just nobody up here because there's no available resources that is at least on any level that we're seeing. And so they've just fallen through the cracks, and it's doing everything we can to try and keep this community going afloat, just by volunteers, besides like road workers and electrical workers working on the electrical lines. I mean, that's all I'm seeing. It's just there's all kinds of just levels of volunteers from organizations and church groups and heavy equipment owner-operators, tradesmen, business owners, everyone from all walks of life, all trades, all states even. Everyone is out here putting hands on. Just random people all over. It's just such a beautiful thing. But point being is that we were running out of gas and had no funds for gas this morning, and I made a post out to my community at Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, and asked them for help. And my wonderful community came together, and just by 8 o'clock, when I got done recording this meeting, we went to the fueling station. They had donated enough to fill a 250-gallon tank multiple times, thousands of dollars. And I just cannot appreciate the open hearts and open care and compassion from my community and from all the people that are working here and being a part of this organization, and that are just putting their hearts and souls on the line. It's just a beautiful thing in such a time of terrible sorrow, and it makes my heart hurt to see these people go through this. But at the same time, there's a beautiful silver lining to where you see the best of humanity, when a lot of times all they push on us is the worst. But the best of humanity is just coming together and working together. And I appreciate everyone. And I wanted to preface that a little bit. I also did ask a question to FEMA, which I got to directly ask. There was a woman coming through with a piece of paper, and you could write on the piece of paper any questions you had for anyone up there. I had talked to multiple people who gave me firsthand accounts of saying that FEMA had came and taken their goods. Now, I wasn't there, so I can't confirm nor deny, but I did figure it would be worth asking the question and seeing what their response would be. So my question was, how can FEMA take a person or group's property without violating the Fourth Amendment? Which, for those that may not know, the Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures and ensures that there is probable cause and that a judge signs a warrant before our property can be taken, and due process must occur before our property can be taken. So, if it was happening, they would be violating the Fourth Amendment. But their response was that they are not taking anyone's property. So, with that response, I can only reach out and say if anyone has any information otherwise, I would love to do an interview of any firsthand accounts that might prove otherwise. Beyond that, I don't know what else to do about the situation because they said they didn't do it. So if anyone has any information, please feel free to reach out to me and I would gladly give you an interview. But back to me writing the question. A kind young lady behind me, when I was writing it out, seen I was struggling, and she offered to hold my phone for me. So she held my phone for me for a minute, but she said she might have unfortunately been holding it upside down. So if you have any upside down video, I apologize. But yeah, this is what I think is the first county meeting out here where this disaster has happened, and it has all the officials involved, from the military to the sheriff and the school to FEMA, everyone involved, the commissioners, everyone that has been involved, road department. You get to hear from everyone. It was a pretty efficiently run meeting. And yeah, so this is just me using my First Amendment right and recording it all and just trying to keep everything open and honest. That's what I do. And you can go back and see my previous history through everything I've done. And it's what I try to always do, is just keep everything as public as possible, because that's what the First Amendment states and that's what it's here for. And these public meetings are supposed to be open. So I just try to keep everything open back home, and I'm doing it here as well. And I just appreciate everybody for following along. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I do daily videos, and I plan to keep doing it. Thank you, guys.
Our people are strong. Our mountains are beautiful. And you are what has made us shine through this. And I thank every one of you. I also want to give thanks to our Lord and Savior, who kept a lot of us safe. And even though we did lose some people, and it's been hard, His grace has carried us through. And His wisdom is helping us lead and guide our county into this recovery effort. Tonight's meeting, our goal is for everyone to leave with the most up-to-date information we have to assist the community in getting the necessary resources to recover. To provide clarity, I want to give you guys some updates on efforts that have been in the county thus far. Over 1,000 homes and several businesses have been damaged by the storm. We've had an estimated 1,500 people who are currently without power. FEMA has allocated over $8.1 million and processed over 5,000 registrations from Yancey County alone. Recovery dollars that have been poured into Yancey County currently stand at $74 million. Tragically, we have lost lives. Sheriff Shane Hilliard will address the numbers of the missing and lost lives. To answer questions, we've given each one a blank index card. Please complete your question on that card, and we will be collecting those cards after Ms. Amos addresses the audience. We also have community resources after the meeting that if you have questions or you need help with FEMA assistance, if you need help with Red Cross assistance, and other community outreach programs have tables set up for each person to be able to get your resources that you need to help get you through this. We are a community, we are together, and we're going to stand together. With that, I would like to introduce our panel members. Jeff Whitson, County Commissioner Chair. Lynn Austin, County Manager. Jeff Lovin, CEO of French Broad. Shane Hilliard, Sheriff of Yancey County. Niles Howell, Fire Chief. Russell Fox, Burnsville Mayor. Captain Long from the National Guard. Tyler Shelton, DOT. Antonio Lopez, Nicole Dyson, FEMA, and Ms. Kathy Amos, Yancey County School Board. And now I'd like to turn it over to Jeff.
To this point, moving forward. But the first thing I'd like to do is lay down some ground rules, as we do the second Monday of every month in the Commissioners meeting. We want to let everybody know exactly how things are going to work and how this is going to be handled. We're here tonight for your cause and to give you the information. It's It's not a meeting for us. This is a meeting for the public. And we want you to be able to attain the resources that you may need to go forward. So tonight we would like to, and I do want to say, and I'm trying my best not to get emotional about this, but this community and this county has come together like never before. There's no divides at this particular moment. And that's not what this meeting is for. That's not what this meeting is about. It's not a political meeting. It's not in any way, any shape or form to divide our community. This meeting is to facilitate information and to connect resources so our county can progress and move forward. And with that being said, I would hope that everybody here will be respectful of each other's time, will be respectful of the comments that are going to be made, the information that we're going to share, and if you would please keep all the applause or all the emotion that may be coming out with everybody here tonight, please keep that restrained. The way that it works is we want to make sure everybody's voice is heard. We've already been told about the questions you can put on the cards. And if your question doesn't get answered, please be patient. We're going to be around afterwards. You can still ask those questions. But if somebody's going to be disruptive, there's law enforcement here. And what I'll do is call you down one time. If you can persist to be disruptive, I'm going to ask you to leave. If you do not leave, you will be escorted out. And my desire and my prayer is that there's nobody here like that tonight. We've come as a community to bind together to get through this devastation. And that's what we need to do here tonight. Let's try to keep the emotions out of it and gain what we can from this. Our purpose here tonight is to give valuable information in a public setting. But I want to start off this evening with my gratitude to the people of Yancey County. It's impossible for us to be this far where we are right now along in this process if it were not for those heroes, those citizens of Yancey County, and all the communities that we have taking the initiative to pick up and to move forward and advance where we are today. It would be impossible for us to be where we are if it were not for our people, for the citizens of Yancey County. Before the last raindrop fell, people were getting out and they were helping their neighbors. They were putting the communities together, communities working with communities, neighbors working with neighbors. There were no divides. And I can tell you, I've always been proud to be part of Yancey County, but I've never been more proud to be a citizen of Yancey County than I am right now. Seeing the efforts go forth with every single individual in this county. Very impressive, and I appreciate that so much. Now, besides the info here tonight that we're going to try to give you from the panel members, we're going to be able to facilitate some of our nonprofit organizations that's going to be out in the hall. I know everybody saw those. Give you those resources and make those available to you so it will make your journey through this devastation a whole lot easier. So take advantage of those folks that are out there tonight. Now, if you will, give me just a little time. Let me give the initial details of the county's preparation and response to Tropical Storm Helene. On September the 25th, that's a Wednesday before the storm, the county officials were briefed on the coming tropical storm. There were various scenarios of the travel pattern, and at that time, we began to follow emergency protocol for preparation. Our emergency manager, Mr. Jeff Howe, had been in constant communication with the state emergency management organization for several days. They were tracking and advising of the storm's pattern. On September the 26th, Thursday night before the storm, all county officials met in the emergency management office to attend a conference call, which was a video call with the state emergency management and the state meteorologist. Immediately following the video, on that call, a state of emergency was enacted and declared for the entire county and the town of Burnsville. Later that evening, a shelter-in-place order was given to further safety efforts. Every emergency management plan of action protocol was followed and put into action. With all necessary protocol followed, it did made Yancey County eligible for the EMAC system. That's the Emergency Management Assistance Compact. I like to call it the Emergency Mutual Aid Compact. And what that is a system that was enacted and ratified and voted on in 1994. What that does is bring the resources from all 50 states, not from the federal government, from the state level. All 50 states get to gain resources by a state of emergency. And I want to say that these resources have been invaluable to our efforts and the progress that we've made so far. It's a mutual aid compact agreement with all 50 states that the government gets to call in those resources from different teams and different places and all the different things. And they're called emergency management teams, IMT teams. When the storm started, as we followed the protocol that was necessary to enact these resources, our governor made the call to enact the EMAC system, which enabled all the other states to start sending us resources. And before the first raindrop fell, we had a swift water team from the state of New York that was already here on Thursday evening. So we see the importance of following protocol. We see the importance of that we were able to do. Now we're able to gain assistance, wisdom, and knowledge from these IMT teams from across the United States. They help us understand and manage and direct the resources that we need to be successful in this recovery, including search and recovery, finance, operations, tactics, logistics, and administration. And I want to tell you from the experience since day one, when these teams began to form and these teams began to come in to assist us, not one time did they ever come in to dictate us. Not one time did they ever come in and push us into anything that we did not want to do. Every single team, and we've seen several members of these teams from across the United States, they have come in and this is what they've said without exception. They have said, we're here to help you. What do you want us to do? How can we assist you? And their help and their knowledge, their wisdom and their understanding about the storms that they have been through in the past has been invaluable to our position that we're in right now. And every single one of them without fail, and there's many of them here tonight, that can tell you that we have made those decisions and we've put those protocols in place and we have jumped through all the hoops that we had to jump through, and that we are weeks and weeks ahead in this recovery. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because the citizens of Yancey County, these folks that's come in here to help us and give us the wisdom and the knowledge and understanding about what we need to do, we're not the ones with a shovel and a chainsaw and a skid steer and a tractor that was going out before the rain quit. So we couldn't be where we are without y'all, without the people of Yancey County. And I'm telling you, that humbles my heart. I've never been more proud. We're able to gain all this wisdom and wisdom because of what has been done. Now, these teams were dispatched when we signed the state of emergency notice and actually had one team here before the storm. And what we need to understand, what we need to realize, is that these teams and these resources are not going to be here indefinitely. These teams and these resources are astronomically expensive. The acquisition of these resources are ordered and given a timeline of deployment. Once that timeline has been reached, we have to decide if it is still feasible and to ask for an extension or demobilize these resources that are not being utilized. And as French Broad Electric Membership Corporation continues to make incredible progress, some of these resources are no longer necessary as they were before. And I want to give you an example of that. I know the majority of the folks that's been especially gone east in the county, you've seen that camp up there at the East Yancey football field. And that was a great resource. It had a comfort station, if you will. It had the tent, the hospitality tent, the mobile showers, the mobile restrooms, the laundry facilities. And at the first, initially when it was deployed, they were seeing dozens and dozens of people daily. Well, a hard decision had to be made because now we're down to less than 10 people a day. And that facility was costing Yancey County tens of thousands of dollars per day. So as the power has began to be restored, as the progress is being made, some of these resources that we have are no longer necessary in their intent. So we're having to demobilize. We're having to get rid of some of those things that are so expensive. There are so many dynamics into the decisions that we are challenged to make. And that's just one example. Please pay attention to all the information that you're getting here, glean from that, take advantage of all the resources that are given here with all the nonprofits. And I just want to say thank you to every single team member that's been here. I thank you for this panel, for showing up here tonight, showing great courage to face the folks and answer the questions. This is not scripted. This is coming from our heart, and we feel that you deserve to be heard, and we thank you for that. We appreciate your attendance.
So now we'll hear from Jeff Levine, or Levin, sorry.
Levine's French. I'm definitely not French, as you can tell from my accent. So, good evening. Just making sure I don't have a red target on my chest here or anything to get started. But when this storm started, we always try to prepare for the unknown. In this instance, I don't think anybody could have been prepared for what this county faced or what Frenchville faced. I don't think any utility in the state had seen, all of their meters stop at one time, which is what happened to us on the evening of Friday, September 27th. Every meter we had stopped turning in our 5-county service territory. Once that happened, we realized that we lost all our big transmission feeds. So we have 9 feeds from Duke Energy at different points on our system. Duke had lost all those transmission feeds and another 180 in western North Carolina. So it wasn't just Frenchville Electric that was without power. Really, all of western North Carolina was struggling mightily just to keep services going. Here at home in our service territory, it was 2 days before we saw any of our delivery points re-energized. Most of those were in Madison County. In Yancey County, we had one delivery point out at Baker's Creek. It took another 2 to 3 days to get other delivery points energized. And finally, Alta Pass out in Spruce Pine, it was 9 days after the storm hit before it was energized. So one thing that happens to us when we don't have any power coming into the system, it's really hard to know where our problems are. And so we struggled, the obvious, where there were broken poles in town, and we knew of places, that's where we started working. But there were a lot of other areas we just didn't even know about. It became quickly evident that it was more than our crews could handle by themselves. We reached out to our statewide organization, who immediately responded, and it wasn't just us, it was Rutherford EMC, Haywood EMC, Blue Ridge EMC, Surrey EMC, basically any electric membership corporation as well as Duke Energy west of I-77 was asking for help, as well as folks in Tennessee and in Florida. And what really happened was everybody geared up for this storm to hit really hard in Florida, so a lot of the help went to Florida waiting on the storm. And so when we started asking for help, there wasn't a whole lot available immediately. Matter of fact, the first crews that we got came from the coast, one of our sister co-ops over at Jones Onslow. They sent 3 crews. So we were asking for help from day one. It took till about day 4 or day 5 to actually get any, and then another week before it could really start rolling in. Once we did, we ultimately had 55 crews helping us and over 320 linemen. And those folks are here today in Yancey County, and that's one of the reasons you're seeing us make great strides in the last week or so, is having all those folks in and then having the DOT do such an outstanding job that they've done with the roads. Here in Yancey County, it's a little different. Let me back up a second and talk about those crews a little bit more. As we started bringing in crews, one of the things that hit us quickly was logistics. When you bring in 320 people, you got to feed them 3 times a day, you got to have a place for them to sleep, and you got to have showers. And we weren't equipped for any of that. Thank goodness Yancey County and their folks really stepped up, went to the state, got us some really magnificent facilities out at East Yancey Middle School, where our guys have been staying, being fed and showered. They got laundry there, all the necessities that they need to come. Because these guys are volunteering to come. Yeah, they're getting paid well, but they don't have to be here. And a lot of times when things aren't comfortable, they're ready to pack up and go home. And so we wanted to make sure that they were comfortable. And all of them, to their credit, have been super committed. We've had guys, some of them been here from the start with our guys. A lot of them have rotated out and work a week, and they send another crew in to replace them. But they've been outstanding, and thanks to the county and all their assistance for making sure that we could get those logistics going. Because without them, I don't know what we would have done. We just weren't equipped to feed that many people and house that many people. We were using hotels and everything else. Our communications was down, no cell towers, as probably everybody knows. Our radio system was down. We were having trouble keeping fuel for our trucks as we started rolling because none of the gas stations were open and running. Water and sewer was out at our office as it was probably everywhere in the town. So those were really struggles we had early and kind of overcame those one by one. Again, in Yancey County specifically, which was our hardest hit county, Mitchell was second. Mitchell was hit really hard too. But Yancey County, if you look at the geography, I think it explains a lot as to why this county was hit so hard. If I compare it to Madison County, which is twice the size geographically, we have over there one main river, the French Broad River, and it's mostly running through a gorge. You got the town of Marshall, which was destroyed, and you got Hot Springs, which was, had a lot of water in it. But everything else in the county was fairly well spared except for the wind damage. And Yancey is just the opposite. As you well know, you got the South Toe, the North Toe, Cane River, all those rivers, and they come together in the northern end of the county and flow into the Noachucky. There were so many areas that were just heavily damaged. And one of the things that we've done over the years here in Yancey County is our power lines, by and large, follow the roads, and the roads follow the rivers. And so when that happens, and you have one of these floods, it took out everything. I mean, there's miles and miles of line going down Cane River, miles and miles of line going down Pensacola. And so we didn't have to repair things. We actually just had to start rebuilding in many areas. And so that's what we've done. You take Pensacola, for instance. We left Bowens Creek and pretty much set every pole, replaced every pole, all the wire, all the taps that came off of that. We're building them out one by one. Same thing for down Cane River. We've made huge strides down Cane River in the last week. It's been tough. If it hadn't been for the DOT doing such an outstanding job of building the road back and giving us a shoulder to put the poles, we wouldn't be anywhere close to where we are today. So hats off to them, hats off to Chris Beaton and all that he's done to help Yancey County and help us in other counties as well, but specifically here. Our roads, as they were rebuilt, we were able to get lines coming right behind them. You've probably seen a lot of these crews, they're one step behind the DOT. As soon as they get that shoulder built, we're coming right behind them and building our three-phase line and trying to get the power back on to everybody as quickly as possible. So far today, we've replaced over 2,000 poles in our 5 counties. We've replaced hundreds of miles of line. Historically, the next worst storm that we had ever faced, just to put this in perspective, was 2009 snowstorm. We had people out of power up to 9 days. We replaced 122 poles. Well, this is 20 times the magnitude so far. We probably still got another 300 or 400 poles to replace. So we're going to be in that 2,500 pole replacement ballpark. So it's just something we couldn't be prepared for. Getting the materials in. Our statewide organization really helped us with that, along with our other suppliers. There's one thing I can say: we didn't struggle to get materials. We had everything we needed. We never ran out of anything, which is pretty amazing when you consider with 55 crews, we were setting over 100 poles a day if you do the math. And so when you're setting 100 poles a day, that's 3 truckloads of poles coming in every day. we've never seen or had to face anything like that. And just to give you some time perspective, a really good line crew, if they can get to the poles, can replace 2 or 3 poles a day. It just takes that long to do it when you see the amount of work that goes into it. You're looking at 5, 6, 7, 8 hours per pole, depending on accessibility and what kind of equipment you can get to it. So hats off to those guys for sticking with it, but that's another time consideration that we face with so many poles broken. Cane River, Little Creek, Big Creek, Pensacola, Cattail, South Toe, Double Island, all those areas were hit specifically hard. I know Cane River and Pensacola were 2 of our hardest, but we've got the majority of folks on Pensacola. We're working on the single-phase taps now. Little Creek, we've got some of our marshal crews actually working over there, and we're having to come in a different route because so much of the road's gone. We think we'll have Big Creek back on before maybe even tomorrow. I think we won't be able to get it back on. Little Creek's a little bit behind. We're having to build 3-phase all the way up to Little Creek, but we've got 5 crews on that right now. They're doing an outstanding job. Pensacola, as I said, it's back. We've got all the 3-phase built back. We've got most of the single-phase built back. We still lack Cattail. As you guys well know, that was totally washed away, and access has been a real problem for us, but we're building it back right now. We've got 3 crews on Cattail. Doing better on South Toe, got some small stuff, and one of the biggest ongoing challenges for us is, you build the 3-phase back, you build the primary taps, and then there's John Doe sitting over here on the left that's got 3 spans of primary to his house, and his house alone, and all 3 poles are broke. Well, it takes the same amount of time to change those poles as it does a 3-phase line that might get 200 people back on to get that one person back on. So that slows us down as we get into the latter stages of recovery, which we're beginning to get there now in Yancey. We've been there already in other counties. So I can't say enough about our membership and our customers. They've been outstanding, been very patient, very few complaints. And when you sit at home for a month without power, it'd be real easy to pick up the phone and complain or come see us or whatever. But you guys have been very supportive, and we really appreciate it. So many of you have given our linemen meals and taken care of them, and they just can't say thank you enough. And I think it's a real credit to what every crew that's not from around here has come and told me, or told Tracy, or told Dawn, one of our guys in the office, that they love working, and it's because of you. Nobody's been fussing at them. Nobody's been throwing tomatoes at them like other places. Seriously, they're saying, hey, they throw stuff at you when they went to New Orleans or when they go to Florida. They're mad at them because it's taking so long. I mean, you guys are feeding them. So hats off to you. Hats off to you. I'd also like to thank Tracy Evans and Long Webb for the outstanding job they've done in our Burnsville district. We wouldn't be near where we are if they hadn't stayed there. They've been there 24/7 pretty much since this thing started. So they've done an outstanding job too. And again, I'll take any questions you have later, but thank you for being so patient with us. Thank you.
Good evening. As y'all know, September 27th is a day we'll never forget. When Hurricane Helene hit, it didn't just bring winds and rain, it brought challenges that stretched us to our limits. In those first few hours, our 911 center received 174 911 emergency calls. But without warning, our phones went silent. Like everyone else in Yancey County, we lost cell service, our radio communications were barely functioning, and yet despite these obstacles, our deputies, along with our local first responders, EMS, and community members, were out going road to road with chainsaws in hand, working to clear block paths and open roads and get help where it was needed the most. That Friday morning, I was able to get one phone call out. It was to the North Carolina Sheriff's Association to ask for help, and that help came. Deputies from the surrounding counties began to arrive with vehicles and equipment. They didn't hesitate, and they jumped right into action. We've had to temporarily close our jail and move our inmates for their safety. Since September 27th, we've had 19 North Carolina Sheriff's offices that have stepped up to help us. 14 of those Sheriff's offices helped us with patrol functions, and 5 of those Sheriff's offices are housing our inmates currently. We've had 3 out-of-county police departments assisting us. We've had state and federal law enforcement partners. We've conducted over 2,300 welfare checks, bringing comfort and assuring that our residents were safe during these challenging times. We continue to have support from sheriffs across North Carolina, as well as from the state level and the U.S. Forest Service. They're still here assisting us with patrols in hard-to-reach communities and our security operations. We've had many sheriffs and sheriff's office personnel from in-state and out-of-state that have brought and donated supplies, helping our people recover and rebuild. Yet amidst this recovery, we've also experienced the heartbreak of loss. 10 lives have been tragically recovered in Yancey County due to the storm. 8 of those were from Yancey County. 2 of those were citizens or were residents of Mitchell County. As of currently, we still have 3 individuals that are still missing, and efforts to bring closure continues. To the families affected, we know that you grieve, that we grieve with you, and we're here doing everything in our power to provide the answers and comfort during these difficult times. I want to take a moment to thank my own team at the Yancey County Sheriff's Office. Many of them faced personal challenges and losses from the storm, but they never hesitated. They answered the call to protect and serve with resilience, commitment, and heart. Their dedication, alongside the other emergency responders, have made all the difference in those critical hours and days. As sheriff, I'm forever grateful to the law enforcement partners, and I'm so incredibly proud of this county, how it's come together, supporting one another through every difficulty. Yancey County's strength lies in its people, and we have shown the world just what we're made of. Thank you for everyone that has been a part of the response and the recovery. We still got challenges to face, but together, thank you, and may God bless our county.
Yancey County. As many of you already know, fire departments end up being the pillars in most of their communities. When bad things happen, that's what people flock to. And there's no exception this time. As this disaster occurred in the beginning days, first 10 days, there was an average of between 10 and 30 fire department members who worked tirelessly in those hours, those initial hours and days following. We also had many volunteers made up of family members and friends of those firemen who came together to support not only the firemen but the community as well. They did so by preparing daily meals, organizing donations, performing clerical duties, and even cleaning the facilities where many of us were housed for several days. Initially, as some of the others have mentioned, our task became clearing roads and highways and homes of the trees that had fallen to allow citizens access to outside world and to allow rescuers to get into them and to allow emergency response. One of the first tasks we were assigned as a department was to clear the road to Phillips Knob, and you may think that was kind of strange, but our communications towers from the communication center is located on Phillips Knob, and so we had to clear that road quickly in order to keep the communications that we had available operating. So we completed that task the first day that we began operations. At the same time, rescue occurred of neighbors and visitors. That began along with the tree clearing. People began to request welfare checks on loved ones. These were performed as requested by these fire department members. I want to remind you that all of your fire department members in the county are volunteers, and they do this without pay and just because they love their neighbors and want to help out. As the tasks were performed, one of the other tasks that came quickly to bear because of this lack of communication was identifying hazards. Many hazards were specific to certain areas of the county: undercut roads, washed out roads, downed utility lines, landslides, and many of the departments marked these for residents in their area so that they could be aware of the other dangers that were hidden. I just made a list of other tasks that the fire departments provided during this event we faced. They assisted EMS in many of the carryouts and many of the tasks that they had to do. They housed and fed fire assistance teams that came from across the state. We had, I believe, if I counted correctly, 6 different fire departments from across the state that spent time with us for 3 weeks, just backfilling. In other words, they came to support us in the fire protection of the community while we were out doing other tasks, and they jumped right in and helped us along with the other tasks we were doing as well. And it was a great support to those of us that needed them. We also provided housing, and we also fed some of the sheriff's office teams that were called in to do search and rescue and security. They stayed in some of our stations, spent the night, and we fed them 3 meals a day. We housed in the community health centers and the field hospital, and most of the communities, that's where you went for first aid, was to the fire department. We provided storage for fuel, for heaters and cooking devices. We received and distributed donated goods in the beginning, and continued to do so on a limited basis even now. And one of the tasks that Burnsville was assigned with, being the city involved, we did not have water due to the fact that the intake had been washed away. And so we placed in daily refilled non-potable water tanks at 5 multi-family residences, 2 nursing facilities, 2 group homes, the command post, EMS space, and the health department, so that they could have some sanitary facilities to live in until we got water restored. In addition to all these tasks, the fire departments also answered the regular calls, the fire calls, motor vehicle accidents, and other things that took place in addition to things we were dealing with as a result of the storm. And again, I just want to say that I appreciate the opportunity to kind of speak for all of them and to tell you that I'm very proud of them. They worked hard, and they continue to work hard, and we're grateful.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Russell Fox, and I'm the mayor of Burnsville. I hope that everyone's doing well. Considering that you just came through the worst disaster in Yancey County history, I hope that you're doing well. Before I go into the water and sewer infrastructure, I would first like to thank the ones that have gotten us this far in a short amount of time. We've received outside help from all over the country, including local, state, and federal levels. And I can assure you that it will take all these resources to get our town and county back. But the reason we're ahead of initial schedules is because of the locals. Jeff hit on it initially. All these people know it. I don't want to leave anyone out, and if I do, I'm sure I'll hear it when we get done. But the ones that I saw out there every day initially, from the day of the storm, are the reason that we're ahead of schedule. I can assure you that. Some of those, it's not limited to just these, I assure you, but some of the ones that I've saw are the first and foremost are your local landowners, homeowners with chainsaws and equipment. Sheriff Shane Hilliard and his staff, EMS Director Christy Bryant and her staff, all 8 fire departments, their medical clinics, and the volunteers that cooked in those fire departments for everyone, hundreds of meals a day. French Broad Electric, local grading contractors and loggers, Town of Burnsville staff, specifically Shane Dale and the Public Works crew. They worked nonstop around the clock. Yancey County government, Jeff Howe, Derek Murphy, Emergency Management, many, many more. But that's the reason that where we're at today, I assure you. I saw them every day. As far as our water and sewer update, I don't know, I sound like I'm screaming, but if I am, I'm sorry. We were out of water for 17 days as a result of our raw water intake being completely washed away on the King River. Shane Dale, Public Works Director, and I visited the river the morning of the storm. He and I were both blown away. Shane immediately said to me, he said, Russell, it's going to be 2 months before we have water back to our residents. I said, you're exactly right, Shane. He immediately started reaching out to engineers that day as he could with phones. I mean, that made it so much more difficult. But the day of the storm, he started reaching out to our engineers. On Monday, September 30th, they were on site. And the following day, had a plan to put water to the town of Burnsville. The contractor was on site to start laying pipe and place pumps the week of October 1st and had water flowing to our plant the next week. We were able to start distributing water to our customers by October 14th with a boil water advisory that was lifted 9 days later. Currently, we have 95% of our customers online. The remaining customers should be back online within, we're saying within a couple of weeks. The reason these customers west of King River Bridge are not online yet is that the line was washed out underneath King River. And that line has to be bored underneath King River, which, as you probably know, is going to take some time. But that process is going to start tomorrow. The contractors will be on site tomorrow to start that process, and we'll get it to the west part with Alltech and Blue Ridge and King River Middle School. As far as our sewer treatment plant on Pine Swamp, it did receive a large amount of water. The blowers, belt press, and electrical system all suffered damages. But emergency repairs were made and started very quickly to get the plant operational. Town crews, along with contractors, have worked tirelessly since the storm to repair both water and sewer lines. Most of those have been repaired. The town of Burnsville suffered severe damage to our water and sewer system. But overall, the town was blessed compared to other parts of this county. And I've personally struggled with that as the mayor, but as a resident of Yancey County, I've struggled with that because my home's fine. The town of Burnsville, for the most part, is fine. I had to make it a point every day to drive to Pensacola at some point late in the evening. I didn't want to interfere with the road construction, but I had to drive up there every evening. And I still do it. I want to thank everyone everyone involved here. You guys have done a phenomenal job. Restaurants are open and operational. Now we start the process of long-term recovery. And it is going to be long-term, but we will get there, I assure you. Thank you.
Good evening. Most of you might not know me. My name is Captain Ryan Long. I'm with the North Carolina National Guard. Early on, before the storm, the North Carolina National Guard had troops pre-positioned throughout the state of North Carolina in preparation for the storm. 18 of our soldiers actually pushed their way up through Little Switzerland into Yancey County and were on ground within Yancey County on the 28th. I myself and 5 others joined them in Yancey County on the 30th. I've been here ever since. Within 6 days, we grew that small group of 23 to over 220 National Guardmen on ground. Part of the EMAC process that was mentioned earlier allowed us to also leverage some of our forces in other states, including Michigan, Virginia, and New York, to provide resources and help to the county of Yancey. Since being here, we've supported pretty much all the different efforts to help augment those men and women that are already here and coming from other services to help the community, including search and recovery, road repair, debris clearing, food, water, and other goods distribution throughout the whole county. One of the differences that the National Guard has over any other service within the military is the honor of being some of the first men and women on the ground to help when our country needs us. And that's something we don't take lightly. The vast majority of the over 250 men and women that we still have in Yancey County today with the North Carolina National Guard are from every single county within this great state. In conjunction with the members of this community, we've had the pleasure of serving over 20,000 people with food and water and other goods, moving over 7,000 tons of debris throughout the county, 7,000 tons of fill material to support the DOT, including large boulders, rocks, gravel, fill dirt, you name it. And over 10,000 man hours just in Yancey County. And with that, I just want to say thank you for allowing us to be a part of your recovery.
My name is Tyler Shelton. I'm the County Maintenance Engineer for NCDOT for Madison and Yancey County. I don't really know where to begin because I don't know if there's really anything that could have prepared us for this storm. We've had floods in the past. One of my predecessors was recently mentioned, Chris Deaton, has experienced a lot of floods. I'm glad to have his support during this. Just want to personally say that, so thank you. On September 26th, on that Thursday, we showed up at our office off of 30 Bakers Creek Road at 7 a.m. We usually do. We had to evacuate our office that morning because the Cane River is flooding to the roadway and slowly into our yard. We tried to find a higher ground, somewhere where there wasn't any power or utility lines in the way if they were to fall during the storm. So we waited through the storm near Mount Heritage High School until approximately about noon that day. And by the time that the rain finally settled, we tried to return to our maintenance yard, and the Cane River was over top of the bridge. I mean, we were trapped from the west. We tried to go east. Water's in the road in town. So we literally had to wait for most of the day on Thursday just to walk back through the debris on top of the bridge to get to our equipment and start making our access throughout the county. I'll try not to tell too many specifics, except for a few locations later on in my speech. But as you guys have seen, several bridges across the county, large concrete structures that are just laid waste in the aftermath of the storm. US and NC routes, some of our primary main thoroughfares for a lot of communities, are completely gone. And again, my position is county maintenance engineer, so I don't think maintenance is quite exactly covered in this. So I will say I have 26 employees in my office, and that includes my county foreman, Chad Peak, counts my admin staff, Dan Robinson, and that includes one of my interns, and actually my first ever intern in this position, and he turned 18 just a couple weeks ago. So you can put that definitely on your resume. So really a lot of our efforts at first was simply just getting access to all the communities within the county. That's why I like to really describe it is you could look at us as the blood vessels, and really the people, the communities is what is the life of this county. So we've done a lot of bypass surgeries and put in some stents. And now we generally have access to most communities. There's a lot of places of dead-end roads. We've had to connect through old roads to get to certain places. So we're in the process of working on building out 1 lane to 2 lanes in a lot of places. I guess I'll start with some of our primary routes that we have. US 19E going through town. We spent the first couple weeks stabilizing the bridge for the Cane River crosses. And we've done some extensive work near the roadway, near the bridge in Newdale as well, where the Toe River crosses. As of now, both of those bridges are stable, functional for the most part. So we've done some extensive work as well. I guess I'll back up and say it. Like I said, I have 26 employees. I think at the beginning of the storm, I had like 90 names and phone numbers of local contractors that's come to our aid. And at least half of those are still with us today. So, again, I can't, as a lot of these people have said earlier, I can't thank y'all enough for what you've done to help us. So I will say, 197 North generally has 2-lane access. We are still stabilizing some efforts in certain areas. 80 North and 80 South has been stabilized as well. We have patched some areas with asphalt. Obviously, Pensacola, 197 South, and the Cattail, and US 19 West heading into Flat Top in Tennessee is going to take some time to rebuild it. I will say as well, the Federal Highway Administration and FEMA is helping us for reimbursement for a lot of the damages done to the storm. And North Carolina Department of Transportation just covers public access roads. So we've been working with the National Guard. I would like to thank them for their efforts as well, and all the communities for private drives and private roads as well. Some of the specifics that I did want to add, for this week, we do have several temporary bridges that are going to be installed in certain locations, and I would like to make the public aware of that. Cattail Creek, actually today, the first bridge, 3/4 of a mile down the road. We installed a temporary bridge there today, so we'll have further access to bring equipment into Deep Gap and Winter Star and those communities to build back to its original access. We have 2 bridges on Hickory Springs Road that will come in on Wednesday. We have one for Culverts Creek near Rock Creek, Barn Road as well for Thursday. And Banks's Creek near Phipps Creek will have one installed on Friday. And some of these temporary bridges, I will say, I know at least at Hickory Springs we have temporary access for now, but while the installation of these temporary bridges, some of these we will have to cut off access for half the day. So we're trying to put out message boards ahead of time to warn the public. But once these temporary bridges will be in place, they will remain in place until the permanent structures are repaired. So, and then the following week, we have several temporary bridges that will be mobilized to areas such as Bent Creek, Murphytown Road, Piney Hill, near the ford in the river that we have on the northern section that connects into Little Creek. Will Higgins on the southern end of the loop. The branch from, Rose's branch that connects into Mitchell County at the end, and one at O.C. Whitson's. So we are working currently on stabilizing the substructure before we can install those bridges. And again, to the people and some of y'all maybe in here that's helped me personally cut trees down and shovel mud and just say kind words and bring us food. And we do like to eat. Thank you again.
Good evening, Yancey County. My name is Antonio Busquets. I am one of the FEMA representatives assigned to support Yancey County, a county that I've quickly learned is a very special place with very special people. Before I begin, I would like to first introduce the FEMA team that is here today to support with any program questions you may have along the way. And so I will start with our individual assistants, Nicole, who's here with me. Our disaster survival assistants are our staff that go and support outreach efforts and help folks register. They will be here today. They are at a table out in the hall. So if you need assistance with your registration or any case management, they can help and support as well. Our National Flood Insurance Program is represented by Anastasia, as well as our mitigation program by Michael, who are here today as well. For Small Business Administration, Arlise and John. For Public Assistance, we have Rachel. And for our Voluntary Liaisons program, we have Deborah, who's also here supporting. Thank you, Deborah. Just a quick overview of the efforts that have happened here in Yancey County. We have had staff deployed in the field in Yancey County supporting outreach efforts, canvassing efforts, going house to house, door to door. Those are our DSA staff, disaster survivor assistants. They have done, they've been located at the library as well in Burnsville, at the public library supporting. They've been doing outreach at the fire station in coordination with the fire chiefs to make sure that we can reach the communities that have been impacted. We have our Disaster Recovery Center, which is now open next to Fred's. It's open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. There you can, it is a state and federal disaster recovery center where you can find support from FEMA, but you can also find support from the state. The Small Business Administration is also there present, Red Cross as well. So it's a center for assisting you in the recovery efforts as you continue forward in this recovery. So far, there have been, for Yancey County alone, 5,092 registrations with FEMA, out of which it's been awarded for that amount. $8.1 million have been awarded for Yancey County in individual assistance alone. I'm from Puerto Rico. The reason I bring that up today is because 8 years ago, a storm Category 5 hurricane hit our island from the southeast corner of the island to the northwest corner of the island. And I, as you, had to live through the process of response and recovery. I had to leave my wife and my son and help support my community recover. And during that time, there was a Army support, and one captain came to me once and told me this phrase, which I want to share today. He said, "Please don't let or never confuse the importance of the mission with the proximity of the fight." And I'll repeat it. He said, "Please do not confuse the importance of the mission with the proximity of the fight. The first responders are all of you, the community, the people of Yancey County, who stood up in the moments of need. And what that phrase really means in the context as he said it was that as soldiers are in the front lines, their support that they get from logistics, from planning, from those taking care of them, sending med teams, supporting them with ammunitions. And so, as we apply this to us, to Yancey County, to this recovery, it's important to know that we need all of us to make this happen. We need the state, we need the county, we need our leaders that are here today, and we need all of you. It takes all of us to make this happen. This recovery is going to be a long recovery, and FEMA is going to be here throughout it all until the end. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Amos, and I am the school superintendent here at Yancey County Schools. I really want to start by thanking everyone who is here tonight and speaking. It has truly been a group effort, and I really want to express my heartfelt gratitude to each of you, each of the teams, because you've been doing this important work for our community and our county. Our school employees, and many teachers, principals are here this evening. I cannot thank them enough for helping to collect and distribute the donations at each of our campuses. They volunteered at the Red Cross shelter at Blue Ridge Elementary School. And it's just amazing work that has happened through all of our employees. I must say that we are the second largest employer in the community. We have over 420 employees. We have 2,135 students, pre-K through 12. We spent the first 2 weeks. The first week in particular, we came here to the high school trying to locate our students, our employees, making sure that they were okay. We did lose an 8th grade student in East Yancey. So it's been very difficult for our school family and our school workers. I do want to add that we continued then in assisting however that we were needed. We are pleased that our school campuses have been used from the linemen at Burnsville that we're housing to the dryers and showers that were at East Yancey, the Red Cross at Blue Ridge. We know we've had donations at Cane River and at South Toe. Everyone jumped in and did everything that we needed to do to support our community, and so I thank you for that. I was like Shane, started making calls to my superintendent friends, teachers across the region, letting them know what it was that we needed, how they could assist us, and they stepped up in so many ways. I still have superintendents from all over the state that are contacting us about what we need. But as you can see, the infrastructure has been a real challenge for us in the school system. You've heard each of the reports. We've talked about, could we go remote learning? Could we get packets out? Could we get our Chromebooks out? But when we first started looking, I think the power outages, there were 6,800, I think, when I first started tracking. Now that we're down to 1,100, 1,500, it's getting better. But we know then that not everyone has internet service. We've also talked about seeded, but we know then that our roadways that are being repaired, and I'm amazed at the amount of work that has been done, the DOT and all the other workers. Building, you go out and there's not a road there, you go out the next time and there's one lane, and you go out again and there's 2 lanes, and it's amazing to me the amount of progress that is being done. But we're very aware of, I'm very hopeful, as you heard from the mayor, the water line that is going to be going out to Blue Ridge and to Cane River will help us greatly as we consider our next steps. Been working with those of the state, Catherine Truitt, Jeremy Gibbs is coming to see us. They want to see so that they understand what is happening here. Catherine Truitt has been very gracious. She is working with us. The calendar days, they have been forgiven. So we're working very hard with our students, especially our seniors. They were affected by COVID, their 7th, 8th grade years, and now they are affected by the flooding for their senior year. So we worked with them in their college applications, their scholarships, letting them play ball, trying to help them with their athletic scholarships. FFA went to the Nationals this past week, so we have been trying to let our students have some normalcy in and amongst all of this, and the teachers have done an outstanding job at reaching out to our kids. We will continue to add students or teachers and their time and coming back. We've had to do modified workday times because the infrastructure in our schools, the water pressure as they were working and building, we couldn't turn on our boilers, so to have consistent heat, water and sewer obviously are things that we are still working on, but I am hopeful, and the amount of work that is being done, it is quite impressive. Our teachers, we've been bringing them in slowly, short amount of time. We've also had counselors for them, quite a bit of trauma, that the stories and situations that our folks have been through. We've had employees to lose their homes, students to lose their homes. So we want to be supportive in that process. We also want to make sure that they're receiving the supports and that they are strong, so that when our students come back, that we are able to, as a school family, to heal together and be supportive of our students when they come in. Also wanted to let you know that we're working on the plans for Michaelville Elementary School. Spent quite a bit of time with Donnie Laws and our attorney Chris Campbell out of Asheville. We have folks that are coming in, inspectors, adjusters. They continue to assess the building. So the Michaelville faculty and staff, they're currently working and being housed at Burnsville Elementary School. So we are working towards and getting plans in place. I do, again, want to say thank you to everyone that continues to help us throughout this. We know that it's going to take time. We do have folks visiting tomorrow from the U.S. Department of Education. They will be here touring Michaelville and also Blue Ridge Elementary. And again, we're very thankful for their help and the grants and monies that we've received. We're all lifelong learners in this process, I must say, and as educators. And I consider myself a strong mountain woman through the years. And this has probably been one of the most difficult things that I've ever been through or experienced. I thought COVID was hard, but this has been extremely difficult. And so I thank you for being patient with us. I thank you for helping us and supporting us. Know that we are working towards wanting to get our kids back in school. We do want to see them. We do want to provide support for them in every way possible, and so we're working towards that. We'll have some pickup drop-off days in the future, and where we're getting some things out for the students, some comfort bags, some books, and different things as we work towards getting back to some type of normal. And again, I just really want to thank you. In this, I must say personally, I have learned how to start a generator. I hate to admit I didn't know how to do that. May have splashed a little gas here or there until I got a phone. I have learned how to, my husband didn't trust me with the big chainsaw. He does the bigger pieces. I do the smaller limbs and so forth with the electric chainsaw. So I've learned something new there and been a brush monkey, I think is what he's called me in this process. So we've all learned things and we realize how strong we are, and truly this is an incredible county, and it's an honor to be a part of this and to live here and to call Yancey County home. And so I want to again say thank you to all of you. If I'm not thanking personally, I will do that. And just know that we're here for our kids, we're here for our community, and I can't thank everyone enough for helping us through. Thank you.
Everybody's time. So we're going to be watching the clock. I'm going to try to end around 7:35, 7:40. There are a lot of questions for the county and the county commissioners, but there are also questions for FEMA and the school and utilities. So we want to honor and try to get as many questions answered as possible. So please remember to during this part to be respectful. If you guys maintain a level of professionalism, we can get through these questions faster so we can answer more questions during the time. So we will start with Jeff, if you don't mind.
Thank you. The first question here, what can Funshine can't be, where can Funshine can't be held in the summer of 2025? This came from Miss Lucy Wilson. And we have had a discussion about Funshine, doing some things in the town center for Thanksgiving and Christmas, having an event for them. The campground and Hootout Hall, of course, is still in question. There's a lot of questions going to be done about the campground. So at this particular time, that's a work in progress. It's not a cop-out answer. It's just a reality of where we are. Affordability and sustainability of that particular facility is going to be long-term. So I can assure you this, conversation's already been made about this particular group of people that are so special, and we are definitely going to move forward with some type of event somewhere for those folks.
So one of the questions was, who do we contact to buy or receive chemical well tests? You can contact our environmental health. That's at the health department. I believe that number is 682-6118. And talk to Amy or Leslie in our environmental health area, and they will help get those well tests to you. You can run by the health department and pick one up. They also have the little chemical tablets that you treat your well if you've had flood waters over your well where it could be dirty. And then they also have a test kit that you can get and submit to them, and they'll test that for you. I believe that is free of cost.
Second question that I got here, what is being done to plan for recreational and emotional need for the disabled? Where can Funshine Camp be held? And of course, those were together. And I think first part of the answer that I had on the first question was we're looking into right now about the town center somewhere to hold Thanksgiving and Christmas and do some special things like that for this particular need. So I won't elaborate on that much. But the next question I got is, what is the plan for long-term cleanup as far as the schedule, trash, limbs, piles on the roadways? So we have secured through the state plan with SDR, Southern Disaster Recovery and Southern Debris Recovery, and they actually started boots on the ground today. Those positions have been facilitated, working with local contractors for all the debris cleanup. And I know Captain Long and his crew with the National Guard have done a tremendous job so far getting that particular process ahead. As far as the schedule, it's going to be long term as far as getting onto it. But the debris pickup and the trash pickup, which is construction and debris, is going to be facilitated on every state maintained road in the county, and that process started today.
Well, a big question we have is the tax reassessment. That was a big undertaking this last year, and I think Danny McIntosh is here. He'll attest to that, as all the commissioners will as well. We're going to have to go back to the state and say, hey, what do we do? Do we need another reassessment? What can we do? We have to follow those state laws. We can't go on what we would want to do from our heart. We'll be in trouble with the state. That'll be in the Department of Revenue. I know every commissioner up here would like to, and in the audience as well, would like to make adjustments right now. But we'll have to check into that and see. That's already been on our minds. We've already had a few discussions. So just hang tight. As soon as we get some information, we'll definitely pass that along. We realize this is the issue of what was there is no longer there, or where you had a river on your house or in front of your yard, and now it's behind your house and your house is gone. We realize that there's big topography changes in our area, and don't be surprised if we may not have to have a readjustment or a reevaluation. So just hang on, and we'll see what that state tells us. Be glad to pass that on.
There's two questions I have. This is very similar. What is the money being donated to the county going toward, and how long will that be distributed? And then the next is what kind of transparency is planned regarding monetary donations coming into the county. The money that we have been given, and I think our finance officer here, Randy's here, I think we're up to a little over 20, how much we got, $21,000, $22,000 so far. And that's what has been donated so far. That particular money is going to be John Miller with the Reconciliation House. We'll be using that money to give to what they do every year, which is to go to the low-income winter fuel needs, and all those winter necessities for the folks that have been devastated. So that's where the money's going from, the transparency. Every single dollar is coming through and into the county, into that fund, and it's going directly to the Reconciliation House for distribution.
Seems like we have quite a few here. One, Jeff, and we'll...
So the one I've got here is when will French Broad be in Green Mountain with their fiber optic high-speed internet? Well, if I had $1 for every time somebody asked that. Yeah. As you can imagine, our internet infrastructure was dismantled about the same capacity as our electrical infrastructure. But the difference is once we get the poles set and all the electric goes back, the fiber optic comes back really fast. So we're really only about 2 or 3 weeks behind where our electrical is with the fiber. Green Mountain specifically is part of our relief grant that we got from the state last year. So we're actually working on that. We pulled a lot of cable, not only in Green Mountain, but the relief, and it spilled over into Poplar and Visionary Stability as well. So a big area in Jacks Creek as well. So we have a lot of cable that was installed. Some of that has been damaged and reassessed and reinstalled once we get repairs made to our fiber internet customers that are already online. So to be specific on time, that's a little difficult, but you know, we're thinking that grant area would be another 8 months or so, getting folks ready to be hooked up. We brought in more crews than we already had, so that may even speed things up a little bit more. But with the grant pushing us on a 2-year timeline, I don't think we'll try to ask for an extension. That will keep our feet to the fire to make sure we get as much in as fast as possible.
Into the community, and how can we be a part of that? So we do have, I know everybody's been accepting a lot of donations, and we're getting them in every church and every place we can stick them in the fire departments and different things. But we did secure a warehouse over in Spruce Pine at PRC. That was the biggest one around that we could use. Altec had been gracious enough to let us use their space the first couple of weeks, and they said, hey, we got to get back going, or we're going to be losing our people, losing our business, and that kind of thing. So we moved out of there, looked at Glen Raven. They was gracious enough to give us a little space. We put everything we could in there. Then went over to PRC, and they guaranteed us a little over 3,000 spaces there that we could put pallets in, 3,000 pallet spaces. Don't know what the current count is, Captain Long, right now, but last I heard was over 2,800 pallets. So some of that has come out of the fire departments and come out of the churches and come out of just what's been delivered here to Fred's, been delivered to different places in the community. That is your stuff. That the county is responsible for all those donations. The only thing that the National Guard is responsible for, or the feds or the state in any way, is the federal distribution, the federal water and resources that they've brought in, which is the MREs and the water. So I'd like to thank Captain Long and his folks for moving all the distribution sites to one site. They have done all that for us. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the school system, Miss Amos, and the school board for letting us use here at the high school. In summer, you can attest to every room downstairs was full. We just got in tons and tons of stuff, as you guys did as well, and we're very, very blessed. But what will happen is, as you guys need this stuff back, if a fire department would like a pallet of water or certain cleaning stuff or something, if you'll relay that to us, we'll be sure that we get that pulled out of the warehouse. We tried to package it and wrap it in by sections, if it's personal hygiene, if it's baby supplies, diapers, stuff like that, cleaning supplies, toiletries. We'll try to get you what you need. We can't say that that whole pallet's going to be toilet paper, but it might be toilet paper and hygiene items. So if you'll just let us know, this is the people's stuff. This is the people of Yancey County stuff, and we'll be glad to get that to wherever, whatever distribution sites you're working with, that you need to push it back out to the community. We're really just trying to keep it from freezing, keep from losing stuff, and a blessing has become a burden a little bit in some regards. Of just, where do we put it all? When do we stop it? How do we keep the clothes going, and how to best serve our community? We realize that we put you guys first and foremost in our minds and hearts when we're dealing with those donations. They are the people's donations. The county is the ones responsible for those donations. So if there's something you need, please let us know. We're trying to push everything from the warehouse back to Fred's, and sometimes there's a delay in that, right? I mean, we have 1,000 people a day, and what we need, there's a little lag in getting it back out of the warehouse. But don't give up on us, guys. I know when you go back to the Fred's, there's nothing there much today, but there might be tomorrow. So we'll try to keep that stocked. We're working on hiring some folks. If you want to be involved, we'll be glad to take that application online. You can get it, and you can turn it into my office. You can email it in to us. You can bring it by Fred's, just whatever works for you. And I believe that pay, as we're working with FEMA and the state, is around $14 an hour. Need forklift drivers and that kind of stuff, make a little bit more, up to $18 an hour. So if you need a little extra Christmas money and want to help your community and want to help us out, by all means, please turn in an application. We're needing about 30 volunteers, or paid applicants. So we appreciate that. But this is your stuff. It's not going anywhere. We're just trying to house it and keep it safe until we can get it out. And we'll be glad to keep a count on that and let you guys know what and where, what we got left, because it is your stuff.
Right, so we have one question here for FEMA. Given the whole community approach outlined in FEMA's guidelines, can you clarify what directives are determining FEMA's presence in certain counties and visibility of their resources in Yancey? So FEMA works closely with the local officials, the local emergency manager, the emergency operations center, and the state. They set the priorities, and then FEMA supports. So we've been working with the fire chiefs to get support and staff there to do outreach at the fire stations in each community. So we work very closely with local government in the state to meet their needs and their priorities that they set.
All right, the two questions I have are related to business, and I believe Antonio pointed out that there is a small business administration point of contact that is here. If you could stand up. Oh, right here. So I'm actually just going to generally answer, but if you want to see her after this, then she can address all your questions. So where do businesses start the process for recovery applications? Go to the SBA website or one of the disaster recovery centers to speak with an SBA representative, and they will be happy to help you through the process. And then the other question, also related to SBA, is as a business owner who applied with the SBA for a low interest loan to clean up yards that insurance won't cover. The SBA has stated that they've run out of money and cannot lend until Congress gets more money for a timeline. Is there a timeline on that? I'm not able to answer about the timeline, but I do know that they are working through that process now with Congress. And SBA has encouraged people to still put their applications in so that they can be evaluating them and have them ready when that funding is available.
Thank you. And our final question here for FEMA that we got, how can FEMA take property from citizens or groups without violating the Fourth Amendment? So FEMA, the answer is FEMA does not take property from citizens or groups. Thank you.
Thank you. Got a couple of questions here. Several of them have asked about employees and emergency pay, and if it's going to come out of summer break or those type things. And so I can tell you from our calendar waivers, we have been very blessed from the state. Those days will be forgiven, meaning that we will not have to take away from Christmas break, spring break, going to summer break. For that, we're very grateful. The flip side of that is I know then parents want to know how will educational needs of all students be met, and so that is the plan that we are working on. We are still continuing to serve our students, especially at the high school, with Mainland Community College. Our college classes are beginning. School of Math and Science classes are continuing. We are having the discussion of the infrastructure needs are still not met, and then looking at packets, or for students who don't have roads or utilities, can't attend school. We are looking at community learning centers. Do we have retired teachers or tutors that can help us in this process, or also community bus stops for sections we're used to not riding certain roads, either due to flooding or ice or snow on the roads. We know that this is much more extensive, and so we will do everything that we can when we get to that point with our plan overall. When will the students of Yancey County return to school? That is on here a few times. That is the million-dollar question. We are working towards that. We are trying to be patient with everyone in the infrastructure. We want our roads to be worked on. We want our water sewer to be back. I know then one of the things that we did look at and talk about was, okay, could we get hand washing stations, porta potties, all those things to our schools? Believe it or not, I was shocked at that answer. The answer is yes, but for what cost? To have porta potties and so forth at our schools was going to be, I believe, $1.7 million, and for 8 weeks. And so that is where we have tried to be cautious of that in our spending, and then also at the same time, what can we start doing to help our students in not losing time or losing educational time. So we've also been asked about, can we get a plan more than 1 week notice? And so the answer to that would be yes. We are working towards that with our principals, our teachers, getting input, our directors, school board members. Thank you for being here tonight. I know our children were affected personally by COVID, and now our daughter has also been affected with the flooding, and it is very hard as a mom. This is very difficult to watch, and so we know that getting our kids back in school, for them to have that normalcy, that routine, to be with their friends, is a good thing, and we are working towards that. I do think it's going to happen sooner than later. I've had some questions I do want to tell you. Even this morning, some of the rumors that are out there. Let's see. Well, we have to go to school till the end of June, so the answer to that is no. Well, we have to go to school 7 days a week to make up this time. Boy, that would be a lot of overtime. So the answer to that is no. And then also, are we going to be out of the school for the rest of the year and retain our students the next school year, meaning they just have to repeat the grade? And so the answer to that is also no. And so, you know, all those suggestions or rumors are not true. And again, I'm hopeful in hearing that this water line is going to be worked on going across to Blue Ridge and Cane River. That will help us greatly. Those are kind of the last two schools that we have to really get back online. All the others, the damage was minimal. And so we are very, very hopeful. And again, we're working on that plan for Michael Elementary. I know that that is being asked. We're assessing in that situation. I thank Melanie Bennett and Dr. Laws for all their work right now and looking at what we need to do for those students and those employees. I can tell you that we want to pay everybody, we want to retain everybody, we want to keep all of our teachers in place, and again, get our students back in school as soon as we can and safely. And I thank you for these questions.
Thank you, Ms. Amos. We'll turn it back to the county. I think we've got enough.
I'll answer these real quick, and there's probably 4 or 5 more besides that. I will just go down the list here. This question here says, thank you to Chief Boone and the French Broad Electric Membership Corps. And we are distributing 200 to 500 gallons of gas and diesel per day to the heavily affected community of Pensacola. We are giving of our time and money to make this happen. To lessen the burden on some of the most affected people in the county, can we get a comment and assistance with fuel to support the volunteers and communities? So I definitely will address that. As a matter of fact, there was a person that came in today from the Pensacola area that came in and was talking to us about making sure that we were able to get some fuel up there. We did make that happen. Mel with logistics and I were talking with this particular man, and we were able to get some fuel. Going to be coming up there on a regular basis, and yes, it will be cost effective to the county and not to the citizens. And then also the Big Creek on several occasions with Summers Taylor company that's down there working with the DOT on that road. We do have a standing order to fill their tanks in that hard-hit area as well on a weekly basis, and the same thing's going to happen in Pensacola. So the folks there will not have to be out of pocket for anything. The county is going to take that over. Next question, what is being done to clean up the rivers? And what is the county doing to provide housing for people? This is in the same card. Still in the shelter and others who have lost their homes. First part of the question, what's being done to clean up the rivers? And that state debris contract, we're looking at that, being able to facilitate in the rivers. And then there are other options that we are exploring right now, and we have those that we can utilize. We're just trying to see what's best for the county and making sure that we get to utilize local contractors. What's the county doing to provide housing for people still in the shelter and others who have lost their homes? Right now we have 50 homes en route that'll be here that FEMA has assisted us with. We are going to facilitate those homes if we can on the individual's property. And if it can't be facilitated on that property, we have secured some campgrounds that are going to be able to take about 30 plus of those homes. And we are willing and ready to take a piece of property that the county owns and turn that into temporary housing for those mobile units as well. Next one, planned for debris at Cane River Park. Can it be mulched? That's part of the state contract with the SDR company. And yes, it's going to be cleaned up and it is going to be mulched. Now, To be honest, I have no idea what they're gonna do with the mulch. I'm sure that that's a process that they do, but yes, it is gonna be cleaned up by those folks, and it will be mulched. Next question, here's a comment. Just wanted to say thank you to everyone on stage and the people that have worked so hard so far to help our community. Your hard work is very much appreciated. We thank you for that, and I can promise you this is our home, this is our heart, this is our community, and we're doing this for the right reason. We do appreciate the people of Yancey County, and that's why we're up here. Last question here. There's two here together, and they're very similar, so I will address this. Can or will you use the money designated for the already funded library to help recovery of the county? No.
I have one more. It says, why are county meetings not being live streamed? That doesn't really have anything much to do with the flood, but it says here that does have something to do with the flood. It's just accessing issues to come to in person. We've always just done our meetings in person. We've never put them online. We're open to the public. Sometimes our courthouse, like this last meeting, was closed. We didn't have anybody in the courthouse that week. The doors open. If the county's ever closed, they open at 5:30. Our meeting begins at 6, second Monday of every month, and our calendar is on our website, yanceycountync.gov. So if you have any question, always go to our website. If we change a meeting or something, that will be posted. We have to give 48 hours notice of any public meeting. So hope that answers.
Questions, like we said, you can meet with a panel member afterwards. We do also have our Helene Relief County hotline. That number is 828-682-1883. You can call that for any resources. And please remember, there are community members to connect with out in the lobby. I want to thank you all for your support. Thank you for your time. And I look forward to seeing everyone as we continue to recover and we grow as a community. Thank you.
Y'all feel more informed now? Is that informative for everybody? Thank you.
One quick announcement real quick. I just got a text that Representative Mark Pless has brought 100 cooked Boston butts, and they're outside the foyer, so get your Boston butt.